Hey guys, today we're going to review our Unit 1. So I put up some questions here. So when we get to each question, I want you to pause it, take a few minutes, answer the question, and then I'll go through the answer with you. Then we'll move on to the next question. You pause it, and I'll go through it after you do it, and just keep that going all the way through. So let's start with the first question, put it on pause, answer the question, and then hit play again. And I'll tell you what the answer is. Alright, first question. List the first 10 perfect squares. Well, it's really easy. The perfect squares, again, are 1 times 1, which is 1, and then 2 squared. Remember, the perfect squares are the squares that are perfect, a 2 by 2. Well, the 2 by 2 will give you 4, area 4. 3 by 3 is 9. 16, go a little quicker here, 25, and then 36, and 49, 7 times 7, 8 times 8, that's 64, and 9 times 9 is 81, and then 10 times 10 is 100. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's your 10. If you wanted the next couple, the next one's going to be 11 times 11 is 121, and the next one's 144. Alright? Alright, question number 2. Go ahead and pause it, and then work it out without a calculator, and then check back. Alright, square root of 900 without a calculator. So again, you want to say, okay, what two numbers, or what number squared, remember squared means you're multiplying it by itself, gives you 900. Well, what times what gives you 9? Because 9's a perfect square. Well, that's 3. But it can't be 3. It's got to be 30 times 30. So what is the square root of 900? Yep, you got it. It's 30. Alright, pause it again. Do this third question. Alright, now I want to estimate the square root of 80. Well, I want to trap 80 between two perfect squares. Remember, we trapped them. So I want to look back up here to see, okay, where does 80 fit? Well, it's going to fit right here, right there, between the square root of 64 and the square root of 81, because those are perfect squares. I can find those really easy. So square root of 64, trapped 80, square root of 81. Now it's a little estimation time. Am I really close to 81? Square root of 81 is 9, square root of 64 is 8. So, but it's really close here, so it's got to be 8.8. I think it's closer to 8.9. And it's 8. It is. It's over 8.9. So, answer that question is going to give you 8.9. Alright, let's move on. Next set. So you're going to pause it now and do question 1. Alright, check the answer here. We want to define a rational number. Well, first of all, what is a rational? If you have to look back, you should have it memorized. If I divide two numbers, two integers, I will get a rational number. So basically, any fraction is going to be a rational number. So if I can write it as a fraction, it's going to be a rational number. So basically anything I can make into a fraction, any fraction, or any type of number I can write as a fraction is going to be a rational number. Or remember, A and B have to be both rational, and B cannot be 0. So let's look at the next one. What are the types of what types of numbers are rational numbers? Well, I gave an example of integers. So integers is going to be 1. What's the next one? How about fractions? Just what the definition is. So fractions are going to be rational numbers. Decimals. Now there's two types of decimals you want to put down. So the first type of decimal you want is repeating decimals. Some kids think that these are irrational, but repeating are going to be rational because I can write a fraction form. Remember, I can put them over 9 or 99 or 999. And then don't forget Arnold Schwarzenegger, the Terminator. So the ones that terminate. So the decimals like 4.2. All right, those are going to be rational numbers. So I got integers, I got fractions. Okay, remember integers are positive and negative whole numbers, and then fractions and decimals. And a square root. It's not a certain number type, but remember a square root of a perfect square. This is also going to be rational because the square root of 25 is 5. Okay, pause it and then go to question number 2. All right, question 2 says list 4 numbers that are rational and 4 that are irrational. Well, you can have a lot of answers. So a couple different ones, maybe -4. Any of these, a decimal, 2.6, or 2.6 repeating. That's going to be a rational number. How about a fraction? How about 3/5? 3/5, 6 out of 10, yeah, 0.6, terminates. You got it. And square root of 81. Those are all rational numbers because the square root of 81, 81 is a perfect square, and that's 9. How about irrational? Well, the most famous one, hopefully you put it down, pi. Pi is irrational. It just keeps on going. I can't write a fraction for pi. And pretty much anything with the square root that's not a perfect square. Square root of 21. Square root of 2. Square root of 8. All those are going to be irrational because they're going to keep on going. Anything with a dot, dot, dot. How about 4.215 dot, 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 dot. Just keeps on going. All right, want to pause it quick? Do question 3. All right, question 3. What do I always get when I divide an integer by another integer? For example, 6 divided by 7. Well, if I write it like this, 6 divided by 7, what is that? Well, that's a fraction. And fractions are rational numbers. So question, answer, it's rational. So remember this for the test. Anytime I divide 2 integers, it's really like writing a fraction. That's going to be a rational number. All right, let's keep moving. All right, I want to go to concept 2 now. I tried to do all this level 1, 2, 3, all in a couple questions here. So why don't you pause it and do question 1. All right, question 1. Find 2 equivalent fractions that have larger numbers and 2 that have smaller numbers but are equal to 16/20. Well, the smaller ones, I want to take out a number out of top and bottom that goes into both 16 and 20. Well, the easy one to look for is 2. So take out a 2. So if I take 16 divided by 2, and I take out the same number out of the bottom, half of 16, that's 8. Yep, half of 20, 10. And guess what? Do it again. What's half of 8? 4. What's half of 10? 5. And those are equivalent. This mean the same amount of space as 16/20. Same amount of pieces, same amount of pizza. It's just written differently. More cuts. How about bigger ones? Well, instead of dividing by 2, I'm going to multiply top and bottom by 2. So 16 times 2, 16 and 16 is 32. 20 times 2 is 40. So that's equivalent to 16/20. How about, let's get the 2 out of there. What about a 3? What if I multiply top and bottom by 3? So 16 times 3, you have to take a calc and do that, but that's going to be 48. And then 20 times 3, that's going to give you 60. So you got a couple examples there. You could have different ones. You could say 160, just add a 0 if you want. 160, whoa, it's kind of ugly there. 160 over 200. Just add a 0. And that will work too. All right, pause it. Go to question 2. All right, question 2. I want to convert these percents to decimals and fractions. I want to finish the table. So 140%. quick review is you got to move the decimal 2 places smaller to get a percent to a decimal. So I'm going to back this up 2 spots. Remember, my decimal's it's 2 places smaller than the percent. So I'm going to get 1.4 or 1.40. We really don't need that 0. Now I want to write a fraction for this. So there's a couple ways to do it. I could do it from here and say, well, what's this decimal? This is really 1 and 4. What place is that in? That's the 10th spot. 1 and 4/10. So one way to write this is 1 and 4/10. And then I have to reduce the 4/10 down. Cut them in half, which is going to be 1 and 2/5. Yep. What if you remember the definition of percent? Percent means per 100. Remember that in your notes? So 140% is going to be 140 out of 100. Yep. And now I got to reduce it. I can cross the zeros. Quick way to reduce. And then 14/10, if I cut those in half, I get 7. Cut it in half, 5ths. Oh, what's really 7/5? Yep, 1 and 2/5. All right. So we just did it up here. How do we say this? Well, that's 8/10. Well, you can't leave 8/10. Please remember, you got to reduce them to lowest terms. So cut them in half. Half of 8, 4. Half of 10, 5. Yep, there it is. And then the decimal for 0.8. What percent is this? Don't say 8% because you only moved it 1 spot. We got to go over 2 spots. So that's 80%. All right, 3/8. Well, I got my calculator here. So just grab it quickly. And I take 3 divided by 8. Yep, I got 0.375. So now I want to kick that to a percent, just like you did up here, just like you did here. We're going to move it over 2 spots. So 1, 2, and I get 37.5%. All right, 0.2%. Wow, that's not even a percent yet. Not even 1%. 0.2%. You still have to back it up 2 spots. Back it up 2 spots. So I'm going to get 0.002. And how would I say this? Well, that's going to be 2, and what place is that 2 in? Tenths, hundredths, yep, thousandths, 2/1000. Haven't seen a lot of these problems, but cut them in half, which is 1/2 of 1,000 is 1/500. You can check it by taking your calc and just dividing it. Take 1 divided by 500 and see if I got it right. 0.002. So, all right, let's move on. You got one more here, and pause it. Do question 1. All right, I want to figure out what points A here and B are. What are these? Well, if this is -4 and -5, I got to count. Remember, I got to count these spaces to figure out my total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are going to be in fifths. So both of them are going to be in fifths. Now I just count. How many ticks? 1, 2. So now is it -5 or is it -4? Remember, negatives you got to go backwards. So this is going to be -4. Letter B will be -4 and 2/5, or -4.4. And that's 1, 2, 3. So to get to A, I got to go 4/5. So that's going to be -4 and 4/5. Remember, count the spaces. And that's the bottom. That's the denominator. And then count how many ticks. That's the numerator. All right, pause for question 2. All right, question 2. I want you to follow those steps. They're in your notes. I want you to kick all these to decimals. And then when you do that, I want you to line up the decimal point. It takes a little time, but hey, it's an easy way to figure out my smallest to the largest. If I take 2 divided by 5, I don't have to divide that. 2 out of 5 is 4 out of 10, yep. And I'm going to add a 0, so it's -5.4, -5.425. I'm going to add a 0, so I keep going out, so I have 3 spaces on everything. And the last one, if you remember, if it's over 9, it's going to repeat. So this one's going to be 5.445. 4, and I'm just going to put dot, dot, dot. So now I just start comparing them now. Look in their columns. Go left to right. So if I look at my one spot, they're all equal. And they're all equal in my 10th spot. But once I get out here, this is going to be my smaller. But with negatives, remember, right here with negatives, it's not my smaller anymore. It's going to be my largest one. So this is going to be my biggest one. So I'm going to put my biggest number right at the end here. I'll set them up over here. And, I don't want to put negative 5.4. I want to write the original. Negative 5 and 2/5. Okay, that's my biggest one. So I'm going to take that one out. So they're equal. So now I got a couple 2's. So I got 2, 0 and a 2, 5. Well, you know that one's going to be the next one. So negative 5, right here, negative 5.42. And then negative 5 right here, negative 5.425. 425. And what's my smallest one? Well, that one's easy. It's going to be here. This one's going to be the farthest away from 0. So I got negative 5 and 4/9. All right, check yours. Make sure you got it. If not, fix it, please. All right. Not question 1. Let's go to question 3. Here it says 1. Pause it. Do question 3. All right, last one here. Let's check which of the following is closest, or excuse me, which one makes it true. Okay, so which ones are going to be smaller than 0.6? Well, first of all, I got to kick them just like you did up here. Let's kick them all to a decimal. 8/16, yep, divide it, 0.5. 0.45, kick 45% to a decimal. 3/5 is easy, that's 6 out of 10, that's 0.6. And 5/9 is going to be 5 repeating. So I'm going to put a few 5s, dot, dot, dot. And 70% is going to be 0.70. Add my zeros, and they're all positive now. So I'm going to know which are less than 0.6. So is 0.5 less than 0.6? Yeah, it is. So that one's good. 0.45 less than 0.6? Well, how about if I put a 0 on here so you can see it? It's like 60, 0.60. 0.50, 0.45, yes. This one includes it because of the equal sign. That'll catch that. How about 0.5555? How about 5/9? Does that make it true? Well, is 5 less than 60? Yep. That one's good. And is this one? Nope. That one's going to be bigger. So we're going to write these down. So 8/16 you should have. 45% you should have. 3/5 should be there. And 5/9. All of them except the last one. All right? All right. Thanks, guys. Check them. And good luck on your test.